What is up, beautiful people? This is Christian from the Successful Entrepreneur podcast. And today I'm super excited and honored to have Jamin Heppell on the show. He is a founding director and leadership coach at Mountains and Marathons, a transformational leadership development organization that delivers life changing coaching programs for entrepreneurs, executives, and leaders where all their programs graduate with an epic physical challenge like running a marathon or climbing a mountain in iconic locations around the world. Jamin and his business partner Jen were acknowledged as one of the top 20 leadership coaches to watch out for in 2021 by the Australian Business Journal. Jamin's clients have included senior executives for Fortune 500 companies, leaders of international nonprofits, founders of multi-million dollar startups, leaders in network marketing companies, ex-military, stay-at-home moms, and many other amazing people. In the last 5 years, as the head of sales, Jamin has sold over 2 million leadership coaching and learned what it takes to stand out in a flooded industry. On a personal level, Jamin has been traveling and living nomadically for the last 5 years, living in 48 countries whilst building mountains and marathons. Jamin has ran a marathon in 6 continents, climbed Mount Everest base camp in Nepal, summited Mount Kilimanjaro 8 times, completed 3 ultramarathons, and is the Guinness Book World of Records for being a participant in the world's highest obstacle course race on Mount Kilimanjaro in September 2021. Jamin is passionate about transformation, adventure, and having a good time. Jamin, welcome to the show.
Hey, Christian, good
Let's
to be here,
go.
my brother. So good. Let's go.
Amazing. And what I really appreciate about you, Jeremy, I have to say, is like just that last sentence. You have so many credentials, and you have so many, achievements in your life, which is incredible. And at the same time, the last sentence, Jeremy is passionate about transformation, adventure, and having a good time. Just
Mhm.
having a good time. It's like
Man, what else are
it's
we doing here, brother? If we're not having a good time, what are we actually doing here?
what are we actually doing here? That is such wisdom in
Mm,
such simple language. And I feel just like you have this childlike character of being so innocent and just playing the game of
mm,
life so,
mm,
effortlessly that it
mm,
really is inspiring. So,
mm.
can you give us a brief overview of your background, some, highlight some of your milestones and, in the industry and, what led you to embark on this journey to, become the person that you are?
Beautiful. Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, if I'm to kind of circle back on some of the cliff notes of my lifetime, I mean, I grew up in a small country town in southeast Victoria, Australia, a town of about 7,000 people. I grew up in a fairly like securely attached household with mum and dad, being together and being really devoted to being good parents. I was the eldest of 3 boys, and so we grew up in a very competitive household. One of the things that I acknowledge for me growing up, I've always been very passionate about sport and very passionate about leadership. These have been two core threads throughout my entire life. But one of the things that was certainly an unconscious thread in my childhood was, as the eldest of three, um, was really seeking the approval of my dad, and the way in which my dad gave love was when I performed well at sport and when I performed well at school. And so, in a way, there was part of my survival response was about ensuring that I received love by performing. And so naturally, like the undercurrent predisposition was to like try really hard at whatever I did because I got a kick out of the validation and it supported me to survive. And so part of my survival strategy too was like ensuring that I was always appeasing the most powerful person in the room. So at home, that was dad. At school, that was the teachers. At sport, that was the coach. And that was kind of like my survival mechanism. Now, obviously, the goal of that is being a high performer, high achiever, being liked by anyone I was looking to be liked by. That really worked for me. The shadow side was if I disagreed or there was a values clash with one of the leaders in the space, I didn't have the audacity to actually stand up for what I believed in. And so that's been a huge part of my journey of stepping into deeper levels of personal leadership is learning not to move into the state of appease, but really attuning more to deeper levels of truth. And so what's helped bring about more of that journey? I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So, and as I said, always gravitated towards sport and leadership. So when I was 17, I was really fortunate to be the school captain of my local high school. And I got invited onto a leadership development 6-day transformational program that was facilitated by 12 passionate volunteers and brought together 60 young leaders from all across Victoria. And this 6-day retreat fundamentally changed my life. It was the first time I'd ever been brought out of my little bubble of the small country town that I grew up in, and brought into a space where I was introduced to, a range of different people from different cultural backgrounds and different energies. It was the first time I'd ever met someone who was gay, open, proud about it. First time I'd ever met someone who was Muslim. First time I'd ever met someone who was transgendered. Like, it was this full opening from this tiny little world that I'd grown up in. And the nature of this 6 days, man, is it just like it introduced me to personal development 101. And what those facilitators were creating for me in that week, and for all of the young people who are a part of it, I was like, this is amazing. Every young person should experience something like this. And what you guys are doing, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do it bigger, better, and more professionally. And that has, like, that moment when I was 17 years old has literally been kind of like the portal that has then since opened everything that I've stepped into ever since then. And so, I certainly won't say the rest is history, but what I emerged then after having a go at university and not following through on my degree, but being very passionate about the idea of creating an organization that looked at leadership in grassroots sport for teenagers, I created an organization called Game Changers. And so for the next 8 years throughout my 20s, I led leadership and resilience development camps and training programs for teenagers in sport. And so I ended up working with about 5,000 young people in that organization, which gave me a lot of airtime, holding groups, developing my facilitation and coaching skills. And then that also branched out to leading an organization called the Man Cave, which was looked at working with year 7 to year 12 boys, or 13 to 18-year-old boys and young men in high schools across Australia, to support them to challenge, deconstruct, and redefine what it means to be a man in today's day and age. And so the combination of the Man Cave and Game Changers had me work with about 12,000 young people across the course of my 20s. And yeah, man, I got a real insight into the nature of human behavior and our, like, psychology, and the way in which our culture really shapes our ideas of what's possible and who we choose to be in the world. Fortunately for me, I had one of the most challenging chapters of my entire life when I was 26, and that was hitting burnout. So I had a massive burnout. I was working like 16-hour days, 6 days a week, wasn't taking care of my nutrition, my physical health, my social life, my finances. Like, everything was just way out of balance, or as I would say today, deeply misaligned. And fortunately, my body was keeping score, which meant that there was a point in time when my body just had enough. I was so anxious, I was so depressed that it just said enough. So I had a breakdown, had my hands bawling my eyes out. I think it was in the middle of July of 2016. And I was just like in this mammoth, uncontrollable, cathartic state. And after a couple of hours of just being full surrender, I just had this simple but profound epiphany. I realized that I created this mess. Like, I created all of my suffering. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, if I created this, then I can create my way out of it. And that was when I really asked the question for the first time, okay, if I could be doing anything in the world right now, what would I actually be doing? And then it just dropped in an instant. I was like, man, I'd be running marathons, climbing mountains, traveling the world, transforming my life, and working out some way to help other people do the same. And so that night, I spent about 3 hours downloading the vision. Next day, woke up, phoned my best friends, my business partners, and I said, hey, guys, I'm done. In 2 years, I'm heading off. I'm going to go and run a marathon and climb a mountain on every continent. And I'm sharing this with you with 2 years' notice. A, so I've made a declaration, I'm accountable to it. But B, so you guys have also got 2 years to prepare yourselves for my departure. Now, fast forward 6 months, I then incidentally, serendipitously met Jen. And so Jen, we began dating. She was from Germany, originally been traveling for 8 years, and then finally found herself a good Aussie man. She was hoping he was going to stick around, but all I was doing was ready to just pack my bags and get up and get going and move out of Australia. And so we dated for 6 months. We moved through a lot of stuff in that 6 months. She moved in. We founded the company Mountains and Marathons. And then together with her background of strategic intervention coaching and international business and coaching entrepreneurs like me, that was people who were burnt out but up to big stuff. The two of us combined our years of experience in the fields of leadership and transformation. And then we set out on a mission to create one of the most impactful transformational leadership programs we possibly could. And so this is what created the foundation of our core offer called the Align Leadership Program, which is, as you said in the introduction, is our program where people work with us over 6 months in a holistic journey of leadership, development, and transformation. And then they graduate by joining us in some epic location in the world to run a marathon or climb a mountain. So we created this. We created Mountains and Marathons, and on the 18th of May of 2018, we took off with a one-way flight to Germany, and have basically been on the move ever since. So we're coming on 6 years now of international adventure. I've lived in, I think you said 48 in the introduction. I think I'm 52 now, and yeah, man, have been on this whirlwind of an adventure of personal growth and development, whilst also being able to serve and support incredible leaders from around the world to bring their life into deeper levels of alignment, and activate their spirit of adventure as well. So there's some cliff notes, my man. And I'm just excited to be here, brother. I have a lot of respect and admiration for you, man, and excited to be in this conversation.
Amazing. Wow. That was a handful. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's so well summarized, it's incredible. And so, like, from your viewpoint, um at this stage, I have like two questions. Number one, what makes you a spiritual entrepreneur? And I think the answer to the second question will be in that, so I won't say the second question, but just answer that question first. What do you think makes you a spiritual entrepreneur?
Yeah, man. Well, I think there's two layers to that. One is like what we actually offer, like the way in which we support and guide people, which it has a deep spiritual undercurrent, which in its essence, man, is about supporting people to get deeply connected to truth, right? To listen to the communication of their spirit and their heart that lies beneath the stories of the mind of what people should be doing or shouldn't be doing, but actually get in touch with deep innate desire. And it's that communication of the heart and the spirit that is actually the access to our greatest sense of fulfillment and contentment and inner peace. And so the Align Leadership Program is really a journey of inviting people who feel as though their life, where they feel stuck or they feel misaligned or something's just like not clicking, even though we've achieved all of this conventional success. It's a deep, safe invitation to actually listen to the whispers of the heart, name them, and then determine where am I living incongruent with the communication of the heart. And so, in a way, like the reason why Jenny and I do this so well is because we've both been on a deep personal journey of doing that for ourselves, and then developing, through our own education and practice, developing process and tools to be able to safely support others to do the same thing. And so when I feel into like the heart of Mountains and Marathons, and it be truly being about bringing people, guiding people into deeper levels of alignment, that in and of itself has a spiritual foundation to it, because it's like literally, man, I mean, there is so much possibility here on this planet, and yet there is so much misguided narratives of what we should and shouldn't do in our lifetime. And so this is really the invitation for these guys for our clients to lead a more heart-led life. So that's part of it. The next piece, man, is like that's like the offer that we do. But then the next piece is just like, spiritual business. It's like leading a deeply aligned business, one that is holistic, one that doesn't just focus on the bottom line, but one that really also looks at what does it look like for the structure of the company to actually like lend itself to us living into our fullest potential, and one that supports anyone who works for us to be inside the same journey. And so this is something that we bring a high level of awareness and attention to, as well as like the holistic impact of our business and how we do business. How do we do aligned business in a way that is deeply founded in ethical principles that are aligned with us, and, contribute from our perspective to the betterment of humanity, because the business exists, let alone the product that we offer. So I would say that's how, that's probably the core of what has me resonate with the idea of being a spiritual entrepreneur.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason why that's the reason why we started this podcast, because I believe that these two worlds, the spiritual world and the physical world, can be merged, and it's such a wonderful experience if you do. Just like when oftentimes when you merge anything, right,
mm,
divine masculine,
mm,
divine feminine, like
mm,
there's just this alignment happening between these two worlds. It's like, yeah, I have one leg in this and the other leg in there, and it feels really good
mm,
to be standing in
mm,
between, channeling and bringing something here to the
mm,
planet that's unique to me, and
mm,
transforming other people's lives.
mm,
So when did you last follow your intuition over your logic in your business, and what was the outcome?
mm. Nice. Let me slow down there. Yeah, nice. Okay. So the one that immediately comes to mind was last year, so 2023. Um, we, over the course of the years, Jenny and I have created what we call graduate programs. So people who have graduated our 6-month aligned leadership program then become part of a graduate community, which is a really beautiful and powerful network of high performing leaders around the world. And so we've been getting more and more creative with these graduate offers. And, one of the offers that we're really excited to invite our graduates to was a program called Masterpiece, the Uganda Guerrilla Edition. And so that was going to be a 6-month leadership training that graduated with a 6-day retreat in Uganda where we would go and spend time with the silverback gorillas. And when we felt into the energy of this, we were just like, fuck yeah, like what a cool offer, like it was lighting us up, and we were like, our graduates will love this. And sure enough, we put it out there to our, I think we had like 85 graduates at that time, and man, we had like 2 take-ups, like 2, and we're like, what is missing here? Like gorillas, like this sounds dope, but clearly something is not vibing with our graduate community. Now I can circle back on our reasons why we think that is, but we'd already laid down. I think we'd laid down $7,000 to secure the retreat center that was non-refundable. And so, because this program wasn't going to fly, the question we were sitting in was, okay, well, do we just acknowledge that as sunken costs, or do we try and do something with this? And I sat with it for maybe 4 or so weeks and just was just curious about, okay, what's like bubbling, what's coming through. And then I was like, it's interesting. 80% of our graduates of the Aligned Leadership Program are incredible, high performing women. And I love working with high performing women. I'm really good at it. And I love serving men and desire to serve more men. And then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, well, if you think about it, the silverback gorillas, the mountain gorillas, it's a very masculine kind of like animal. And if you've ever been in the presence of a silverback gorilla, it's full charge, king energy, masculine. And I'm like, that's interesting that we hardly got any take ups. And the two inquiries we got, like the two who were curious, were both men. And I'm like, I'm like, what if I led a men's only program called like the Men's Immersion that became a coaching program exclusive to high performing men? And I felt into that. I felt through that. And I was like, yeah, this got a fuck yes energy about it. And so sure enough, was just like, cool, what would this look like? Ideated, felt through the essence of it, centered around this core principle of embodied masculine leadership and the 6 core tenets of embodied masculine leadership being integrity, emotional mastery, relationship mastery, vision and purpose, united brotherhood, and connection to spirit. I'm like, cool, I'm going to run this program centered around these 6 core tenets. And sure enough, built the website, created the sales presentation, and then just put it out there word of mouth, and then had we literally only had space for 4 men to be a part of this. And then within 3 weeks had 3 men registered, and it became a profitable program. It became a way of saving $7,000 of sunken costs. These men got to have an incredible transformational experience, and I got to go over to Uganda, lead some magic, and then also be in the presence of the silverback gorillas and go to Uganda for the first time. So that's the one that immediately comes to mind, man, as far as attuning to opportunity and intuition in the space of what seemed like an absolute headache for our business.
Beautiful. I love that. And talking about alignment, what's your secret to staying in alignment? Do you have any morning routines, or any intervention techniques or tools,
Mm,
tips,
mm.
tricks, resources, whatever it is you have to stay in alignment?
Yeah, nice. Let's even just explore alignment for a second, just in case there's other language that resonates for people who are tuning in. We use the word alignment because it just has a resonance with the people who we serve. But other ways of saying alignment is kind of like to be in deep integrity with oneself, to be living congruent with one's deep inner truth. Like that's what we're speaking about here. And so The way in which we support people, I guess, if we're just looking at like the principles of like living a deeply aligned life, there's a couple of layers here. One is a general process of what we call clarity, clearing, and creation. So clarity is like actually listening to the heart and naming what the heart is saying as, this is what the most deeply aligned life for me would look like. This is what it would feel like. And so we actually have that as like as a declaration, and we call this clarity. Then we have clearing. So clearing is then looking at the beliefs and emotional blocks that are misaligned with that possibility, with that vision of what the most aligned life would look like. So then we do a deep excavation work in this space of clearing to support people to let go and transform limiting beliefs and clear emotional blocks. So there is then space for the final step, which is called creation. And so creation is then looking at, okay, how do we condition our body somatically to be able to receive and embrace more of that which is more deeply aligned, and also be developing the daily habits and practices that are directly aligned with the possibility of clarity that we've created at the beginning of the program. So broadly speaking, we guide people through this like clarity, clearing, and creation process. So that's one part. And then you'll also notice here that inside clarity, it starts very zoomed out. It starts at the macro, highest level vision of possibility. And then from there, we then become more and more refined as far as like, okay, so we're in touch with the energy of this possibility, but then what are the actual daily, weekly, monthly practices that support the embodiment of this possibility, such that there's both an embodiment of that frequency in the here and now, and also leveraging the power of the compounding benefit of doing things consistently over time that allow for a transformation to occur to bring things into deeper alignment. So I guess with that as context, man, for me, one of the things that's really important to me is be consistently revisiting my vision, or what I call my manifesto, of what my most deeply aligned life looks like. Now, there are two parts here. One is there are components of this vision that include the specifics of what I desire for it to look like. Like I've got a lot of clarity around that. And at the same time, it equally expresses how I want to feel and how I want to how I want to feel and how I desire for others to experience me in shared space. And so the beauty of this is one is like a practical manifestation, a physical manifestation, and then the other is this felt sense. It's an energetic experience of like how I experience myself on the day to day. Now the beauty is the energetic piece can be felt in the moment. Like I can embody that now. If I don't yet, own the vision property, if I don't yet have, I'm not yet married, I'm not yet a father, but these are things that I know just naturally, like in my deepest desire, my deepest truth is these are things that are a part of my future, yet they're not here yet. And so then the question that I ask then is, okay, well, how am I showing up today that is a direct embodiment of who I'm becoming and what I'm committed to creating? And so much of my daily practice is centered around the energetic embodiment of that. Yes, there's obviously practical steps, but it's more about attuning to that energy. And so for me, I've then also felt through, okay, well, listen, if I was just to bring an intentionality to some specific ways of being on a moment by moment daily basis, what would those energies be that are in direct alignment with how I want to experience myself and what I want to manifest in the world? And for me, it's really simple. I've refined it to three core things: being warm, being grounded, and being inspired. Warm, grounded, inspired. So no matter the place or space that I show up in, there is an intention to be cultivating warmth, groundedness, and inspiration. And I know that if I'm living from these energies, that what I'm emanating is a direct match for that which I'm looking to call in. And that's obviously leveraging the principle of law of attraction from an energetic standpoint. So that's one thing that I'll focus on, is I'll always engage with my manifesto in some capacity in the morning, and then I'll attune to the energy of my manifesto, warm, grounded, and inspired. And then from there, I'll ask myself, just a couple of key questions is, how am I feeling right now? Like this is a simple journaling exercise. How am I feeling right now? Where am I out of integrity? In other words, where am I? What are the layers of life that I'm resisting right now? Or where have I not followed through on what I said that I would do? And then I take a moment to determine the action to clean that up, so that I come kind of back into a level of spiritual integrity with myself and anyone else who I'm in connection with. And then the last question I'll ask is, what am I excited about? And so that's that as a process is kind of like just part of a daily ritual that has me remain connected to what's important to me, stay focused, and also being embodying the energy of of what it means to be, from my perspective, to be living at my best.
Love it. Beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all that. There was a lot in there, and I
Mm.
think people are gonna take a lot out of it, especially like even just simple things like journaling daily or coming back into your energy. What is your energy? What is your alignment? What is your
Mm-hmm.
integrity? What are
Mm-hmm.
you out of? It's just like really all of this like personal development stuff. It's not complicated. It's just sitting down and doing it, and
Mm.
having feeling the worthiness of taking out the time in your daily life and actually doing it, because that doing it would shift your energy and shift your state into something better.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are the three words that you want people to know you for after you leave this physical plane?
Oh wow, okay. Warm, grounded, inspired.
I love it. I was wondering if this. I'm so happy you said that, because like that means this is that you've been pounding this into your energetic system for so long. It's just like it's
Mm-hmm.
part of you. You're just gonna be it, right?
Mm-hmm.
For
Yep.
me, on the last podcast, I actually was thinking about it because yeah, it's love, pixel, T. Because love is
Yeah.
like the spiritual value, pixel is like
Yep.
the masculine bringing
Yep.
things to the world,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
T is I don't know. Tea's just so special. We
Mm-hmm.
can have another
Mm-hmm.
podcast about tea. I love tea. People know that already. On the podcast, they're like, this guy doesn't stop about talking about tea all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and so, like currently in your life, like who or what inspires you the most in your spiritual and entrepreneurial journey?
Ah, honestly, man, my best mate Rick William, who you know. Yeah. Yeah. Rick, because what I'm listening for when I'm seeking people to be inspired by is I'm really listening for and looking for the depth of integrity upon which they embody and walk their talk. And I think there are a lot of obviously incredible thought leaders out there, but I don't have like, and I may resonate with the way in which they show up in the world, but I haven't necessarily felt them and how they, how they move through the world in a moment by moment daily basis, how they treat their employees, how they speak when the cameras aren't rolling, and I'll always give the foundation of trust in and around that. But what brings me the deepest sense of safety and desire to like continue to be influenced by someone is when I felt the way in which they show up and be when the camera isn't rolling, and how they connect and communicate with their partner, and how they treat people on the street. Like when I'm in touch with that energy from people who I'm inspired by, not just like what they bring out and what kind of what they're creating in the world, but the way in which they move through the world behind the scenes. That's when the depth of trust and respect really expands for me. And I'm really fortunate to call, one of my best mates, one of the most inspiring men I know. And I mean, for those of you who don't know Rick William, he's an incredible coach of both men and women. He's an expert in trauma, and he's really committed to liberating the suffering of humanity. And and in that he does his own tremendously deep work and holds one of the most powerful frequencies in romantic relationship that I've been in touch with. And I just saw so much inspiration from the way in which he shows up and bees. And it's not about the results and the performance, but it's just about how he moves through the world, that I find deeply inspiring. So in this moment, my man, yeah, my best mate Rick.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And for anybody who's interested in finding more about Rick, you guys can check out Rick on Instagram or on his website, rickwilliam.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really great guy. Check him out.
Mm.
Um, so, what is your vision of the new Earth?
Dude, humanity liberated from suffering. Like it's like, but what I'm present to, pain is inevitable inside the human experience, inside this 3D like beingness here on this planet, like pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And
Hmm.
and the moment that the moment when I witness human beings getting that for the first time, it's just like boom, like one's capacity for radical self-responsibility opens up, and then the portal to living inside of how good it can get, like how good can it actually get being here in this physical realm, like that really opens up when people get in touch with suffering is pain is inevitable, suffering is optional, radical self responsibility. And so, for me, a new Earth is 100% of the planet taking 100% radical responsibility for their freedom of suffering, for their for living inside of what spirit has brought them here to be and do, and living deeply congruent and aligned with that which lights them up and is inspiring to them.
Let's go. Yeah,
Let's fucking go.
that's a beautiful new earth, bro. You know, like I just love like all the people that ask this question, like this stuff, after like 100 episodes, I'm just gonna do a compilation of
I'll
like
bet.
what everything said about the new earth, and it's just
Yep.
like this is what we're literally creating.
Yep.
It's not fantasy. It's not imagination. Like
Yep.
we are the living embodiment of creating this new earth. Like you
That's
and
it.
I,
That's
we
it.
opted out of not being incorporated or working for this yada yada yada, but
Yep.
we chose to create a different version of life and bring something to reality that doesn't exist yet. So,
Yep.
so we're doing that. So
That's right.
kudos
That's
to
right.
us. And
Yeah, man. And like even just building on that, dude, it's just like Gandhi nailed it years ago. Gandhi's like, be the change you wish to see in the world. He's not like do the change. He's like be the change. And like if you think being is an energy. And so it's just like it's about embodying, it's about being in touch with that vision and possibility and then embodying the frequency of that and then showing up and doing the things that are congruent with that. But it's the being first, the doing second. And that's exactly it, man. It's like, cool, we're in touch with the possibility and let's like embody that and then do the things that are congruent with that possibility. Fucking fun. I mean, if we're not doing that, what else the fuck are we doing here?
exactly. And it comes back to like have a good time.
Have a good
You know,
time, man. That's right.
have
That's
a good,
right.
you know.
Have a good. That's right.
Yeah, honestly, like I think oftentimes it just gets like these simple things just get lost because we live from such a mental state of like,
Mm-hmm.
what's next? What's the most strategic? What makes most sense? Versus just, bro, are you having a good time?
Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
It doesn't
That's
have to
right.
be all the time, 100% all day long, but
Yep.
like, is the base essence of what you're doing giving you a good time? Like,
That's it.
is building your own business giving you a good time? Is this vision, is this thing pulling you forward and giving you a good time? Yes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how
And
you
even
know.
and even it's just even just like go deeper on this notion of like having a good time. It's like I'm a huge proponent of consciously choosing to do really hard things because inside the pursuit of that, resilience is cultivated. A sense of what we're capable of is cultivated, which my experience has been as my own resilience has deepened and developed, my sense of what I can hold and handle as far as like what shows up in my field, it's like, I got this. Like, I got this. And there's such a grounded sense of security and humility that gets to come with this notion of like, I got this. And that is cultivated not from hedonistic lifestyles, but that is cultivated from actually choosing to do hard things and to bring a level of like rigor and discipline to like the things that are challenging in life. Now, obviously, one of the things that I'm passionate about is like ultra endurance events. Like, there are that like I guarantee you, 3/4 into an ultra endurance event, I am not going. I'm not having a great time. I'm just not. I'm in a whole world of this is silly. Why did I say yes to this? Like, this actually just seems a little bit unnecessary. Like, my mind will move into these places. And yet I also, in those moments, it's also like I'm aware of, wow, like deepening of my inner sense of being able to be with pain and discomfort and not suffer. Like, that is profound training for life, right? And it's the same thing in, like, you know, in a sales round that might not be going as well as desired. It's like there's a tension there. Okay, like I noticed the fear and the scarcity that's present. Okay, cool. Suffering. All right. How can I hold the parts of me that are in fear and feeling scarcity right now? How can I hold them with love and tenderness and compassion, and then tune back into higher self and broader and step into a more cosmological perspective on this, to then support and come back to an energetic place of equanimity and groundedness, so that I'm able to move forwards from what used to appear as a disempowering context, to then actually step into a place of, hey, like, it's all good. It's all good. And, you know, the more we're able to develop that agility of being able to acknowledge places of inner disempowerment, and then hold that with tenderness, and then move back into a place of centeredness and empowerment, like, the more ninja we get at that, the more dynamic we get to be as we navigate, the unexpected layers of life, and gives us greater access to having more of a good time. Like,
Look at that. I
having a good
love
time.
That's what's about. It's true, you know.
That's right.
And so we're coming up towards the end of the episode. So the last part of the episode, I always like to give to my guest that's on, and I would like to ask them, like, what are your future goals, whether business or personal, and what are you looking to call in? And after that, we're gonna ask you, you know, where people can find you, and right, any last words for the audience. But yeah, what are you looking to call in? What are your future? What's your goal? What's drawing you?
Wonderful, man. Cool. What a beautiful invitation. You know, so in the spirit of mountains and marathons, like, I'm loving the creative aspects of what gets to become possible inside of what we're doing with mountains and marathons. And something that's been core to its inception right from the very get-go is this integration of inner transformation and transformational travel and adventure. And so what I become ever more curious about is, like, this beautiful integration of two things that I'm so passionate about, transformation and travel and adventure, is like, how far can I take this? At the moment, we lead programs that will take people to run marathons in Patagonia or Bahamas or Iceland, or through to climbing to Everest Base Camp, to climbing Kilimanjaro, and it's beautiful. And I'm also like, there's so much more of the world. Like, there's like more potent magical spots of the world, and so part of my spirit is like, whoa, imagine I like cultivated a transformational leadership program with a graduation with summiting Mount Everest. Where we went to the Himalayas in Nepal and had this 6-week graduation retreat where we summit Everest. I'm just like something in my spirit is like that, Equally, I'm like, I wonder what it would be like to, like, do the 5-day multi-stage ultra marathon across Namibia. I'm like, imagine building like a transformational leadership program that graduated with like a 5-day traverse across the Namibia desert. It's like something in my system is like that. So I think there's kind of like more there's things on like the personal adventure side. There's another piece that's like, I wonder if we could create like a coaching program where people came and hiked. I hiked the PCT up the west coast of USA, and then people came and did like nature-based coaching, where we get to be in meaningful transformational conversation whilst we move through nature. And so I'm like, there might be a program there, like, that we could create. So part of this is just like feeling into, anything is possible here. Granted, there's an aliveness and an inspiration stemming from inside me. That's one part. The other part that I'll speak into, man, is Jenny and I have just bought some beautiful land here in Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. with 100 meters of lakefront and 2.5 acres of virgin land. And so, you know, I'm just pretty, right now, a lot of the creative energy and the vision is coming towards, all right, what wants to be birthed from this sacred land. And so, you know, my sense of being able to create a small retreat center that brings, you know, world-class thought leaders together to be in collaboration and also facilitating deep healing work has a real resonance to it. So I can certainly see a big future happening as far as the nature of how we leverage this land that we've recently purchased. So yeah, there's probably other things I could speak into, but there are a few things that are kind of coming through right now. um,
Beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful.
on the business front. But yeah, man, wife, father, these rich layers of life are important to me as well in my future.
Amazing. All right. So, any last words for the audience, and then where can people find you and get in touch with you?
Cool, nice. I think yeah, final words is like I believe that deep down everybody already knows what they truly desire, and my invitation for people who are in touch with like I know there is something more for me, like I know there is a deeper sense of purpose, there's a more fulfilling experience available to me in this lifetime. I invite you to trust that, and you know it can take deep work and moving through a lot of fear and societal story to actually get through the noise to discern the depths of clarity that's already alive inside of you. But I invite you to trust that, and trust that there are also people and processes that can guide you to being able to name that deep truth. Because there's something so empowering about being able to distinguish that, name it, and claim it. Because then the journey simply becomes about, okay, well, how do I align every layer of my life with that deeper truth? So that would probably be my primary invitation for as some closing words. And then as far as where people can find me or us, so personally, it's at Jamin Heppell is Instagram and Jamin Heppell is Facebook. And then also at Mountains and Marathons. If you want to check out our company and have a look at what programs we've got coming up, that would be mountainsandmarathons.world is where you'll be able to see what we've got going on.
Love it. Thank you so much for being on the show, Jamin. It was a real honor. And yeah, thank you.
So good. Great to see you, Christian. Thanks for having me, man.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.